Thanks for joining us today on Spiritual Awakening, where we're continuing our daily Jesus devotional series, where we gather each day to grow in our spiritual lives, draw nearer to God, and seek the wisdom that has stood the test of time. And speaking of journeys, I want to share a little bit about the book, The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel. Lee Strobel was an atheist and investigative journalist, and his initial goal was to disprove the existence of Jesus Christ. However, as he delved deeper into his investigation, he uncovered compelling evidence that changed his perspective completely. This book, while not originally intended to prove the existence of God, highlights the power of seeking truth with an open heart and mind. Strobel's journey is a great example of how, sometimes, our quest for answers leads us to a faith we never expected. It's a beautiful reminder that, through diligent searching and open-hearted inquiry, we can experience spiritual awakening. The beginning of spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening isn't something that happens overnight. It's a journey. It's a process of awakening to the truth of who we are in Christ. Lee Strobel, in The Case for Christ, began his journey with the goal of disproving the existence of God. However, through his investigation, he uncovered powerful evidence that led him to the opposite conclusion, that Jesus Christ is real and his teachings are grounded in truth. Just like Strobel, our own journey of spiritual awakening begins when we open ourselves to the truth, acknowledging that we are not defined by the world's standards. We are not what society says we should be. We are children of the Most High, called to live lives full of purpose and grace. One of the most compelling parts of Strobel's investigation was his exploration of the evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. He examined the accounts in the New Testament letters of the apostles and also sought out records from non-Christian sources. These external records pointed to the resurrection as a real event, and Strobel found that there was no reasonable explanation to dismiss it. The transformation of the apostles, from fearful and disillusioned to bold and willing to die for their faith, was, to Strobel, undeniable proof that something extraordinary had happened. This evidence was a pivotal part of his spiritual awakening, where his journey of doubt turned into a profound belief in the presence and power of Christ. If we're honest, many of us go through life on autopilot. We get caught up in the day-to-day grind, and sometimes we forget about the deeper things that matter, the things that are truly eternal. But when we open our hearts to God and begin to see the world through His eyes, it's like a veil is lifted. Suddenly, things start to make sense. Our relationships, our work, even our struggles, they all take on new meaning. Just as Strobel's journey revealed profound truths, so too can our spiritual awakening as we recognize God's hand in our lives, even in the smallest moments. As we begin to pray and spend time in Bible journaling, we begin to notice patterns. We start to see how God has been moving in our lives all along, even in the smallest moments. These are the seeds of spiritual awakening, moments when our hearts stir and we realize that we were created for more than just surviving day to day. We were created to thrive in God's love and grace. The role of ancient wisdom in our journey. One of the most powerful aspects of spiritual awakening is the deep well of wisdom that the Bible offers us. The scriptures are more than just ancient stories. They are timeless truths that speak to our hearts today. I know it can be easy to dismiss the Bible as a book of old-fashioned rules and regulations, but in reality, it's a guidebook for life, one that holds the answers to so many of our questions. In the New Testament, we see the life and teachings of Jesus, who came to show us the way, the truth, and the life. His teachings are not just for the people who lived in his time, they are for us, right here, right now. The wisdom found in his words can guide us through the toughest times, offering peace in the midst of chaos and hope in the face of despair. As we embrace this wisdom, we begin to grow spiritually. We start to understand that our purpose in life isn't just to accumulate wealth or achieve success by the world's standards. Our true purpose is to love God and love others. As we grow spiritually, we also experience a deeper sense of peace and joy. This, my friends, is the beauty of spiritual awakening. It's about rediscovering the truths that have been with us all along, but often get overshadowed by the noise of the world. How to faith a life. Trusting God in every season. Now let's talk about something that can sometimes be a bit difficult for us to grasp. Faith. What does it really mean to live by faith, to trust in God's plan even when we don't understand it? It's easy to say we have faith when things are going well, when everything seems to fall into place. But what about when life gets hard? What about when you're facing challenges that seem insurmountable? This is where true faith comes in. Living a life of faith doesn't mean that everything will always be perfect. In fact, it often means the opposite. We will face trials, we will have moments of doubt, but it's in those moments that we learn to rely on God more than ever before. We learn to trust that His plan is better than ours, even when we can't see it clearly. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting God, even when we don't have all the answers. It's about walking step by step, day by day, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. And as we continue to walk in faith, we find that our lives are transformed. We start to see the world through the lens of God's love, and we begin to act with greater compassion, kindness, and understanding. Through the lens of God's love, and we begin to act with greater compassion, kindness, and understanding. Spiritual growth. The transformative power of God's love. Spiritual growth is not a destination, it's a journey. It's a continual process of becoming more like Christ. And the key to this growth is love. God's love for us and our love for others. As we grow spiritually, we become more aware of the ways in which God is at work in our lives. We begin to see how His love shapes our actions, our words, and even our thoughts. And as we allow His love to fill us, we start to reflect that love to those around us. This is where inner alchemy comes into play. Inner alchemy is the process of transforming our hearts and minds so that we become vessels for God's love. It's about allowing His presence to shape us from the inside out, so that we can be more like Him in every area of our lives. Daily Jesus Devotional. Embracing God's presence. Every day. One of the best ways to experience spiritual growth is through daily devotionals. Taking time each day to sit in God's presence, to read His Word, and to reflect on His goodness can completely transform our lives. It's in these quiet moments of reflection that we hear His voice most clearly, guiding us and drawing us closer to Him. A daily Jesus devotional is a powerful tool for cultivating a deeper relationship with God. It helps us stay focused on Him, even in the midst of life's distractions. And as we continue to dedicate time each day to seek Him, we begin to experience the peace and joy that come from living in alignment with His will. A new beginning in Christ. If you're feeling far from God, or if you're unsure where to begin your journey, I want you to know it's never too late. Spiritual awakening isn't something that happens in an instant. It's a journey, a process that unfolds one step at a time. And that first step, it's simple, yet profound. Surrender. Surrender your heart to God. Open yourself to His presence. Invite Him into your life and let Him take the lead on this incredible journey of transformation. Remember, spiritual awakening is not about striving for perfection. It's about being willing to let go and trust in the one who knows the way. Like Lee Strobel, who set out to disprove God's existence, but found himself transformed by the undeniable truth of Christ's love. You too can begin with doubt, with uncertainty, and yet find yourself drawn closer to Him. There is no barrier too great for God's love to cross. He meets you where you are, no matter how far you feel you've wandered. As you move through your day, I want you to carry this truth with you. You are loved, you are chosen, and you are called to a life of purpose. No matter where you've been or where you are now, God has a plan for you, and that plan is full of grace, hope, and transformation. Trust that He is guiding you, even when you don't see the way forward. His presence is always with you, every step of the way. And as you continue to grow spiritually, I pray that you will experience the fullness of His love, the peace that surpasses all understanding, and the transformative power that comes from knowing Him more deeply. It's a journey that lasts a lifetime, and every step is worth it.